Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am your ever-loving host, Shorty, and today we're reviewing Dead Dog's Bite, one that struck me as a very, very bold cover design, and when I opened it, realised that there's a hell of a lot more going on than just this. A bit of advance warning, I'm going to be discussing form. Kind of hard not to when you get into what I'm talking about, you'll see why. But before that, we're going to deal with just a couple of pieces of writing and artwork in general. First off, writing and setting. This feels like a Fargo-esque, almost our world, maybe not quite, just kind of oddity to it. Small town America, which is always good fun. Fargo does against very, very well. Something operating beneath the surface makes me feel like it's I don't want to say Riverdale, because Riverdale goes a little bit surreal in places and goes very, very odd. I don't think it's that. I think it's more just a regular kind of conspiracy going on there. And a lot of pieces kind of fall into that really quite nicely. The sheriff and the mayor and the woman who runs the town effectively through businesses. And there's lots of recurring themes and motifs, which really, really great once you start noticing them. And then the writing itself is fantastic. There's a wonderful narrator trick of actually having a third-person narrator telling you what's going on, but rather than just be box out text and you have to kind of figure out, they literally have a person who inserts himself into scenes, seemingly to the point where nobody else can see them or hear them or interact with them in any way, but still feels like they are part of that. And that's just one of the many things that it does, which makes you wonder what exactly is going on. It's just a little bit too skewed from center. I'm not saying it's a good direction. I think it might actually go back and forth over itself a few times, but all of it is done in such a way that makes you want to find out what's going on. It makes you want to read more and unpick the pieces of it. Very much like Fargo, TV series or movie, take your pick. There's always so much going on in those. And stuff which takes you away from what you're expecting in really odd and interesting ways, that you are compelled to go back and keep watching it to figure out what the hell's actually going on. When I say I'm comparing to Fargo, I don't mean that in a bad thing. I'm not saying this is it's taking the story beats from them and reinventing them. It's basically doing an homage and looking at what makes that so successful and playing around with it. Onto artwork now. It's brilliant. It's simple and effective. And every once in a while, there are moments of sublime beauty. Top panel of that one there. See if I can get it with a bit of light on so you can see it. Just that show of movement with the wind that you don't have to see because you just see its effect on things. The way the people in the foreground are pulling away, just their actions say an awful lot more than them actually having to say anything. And it just looks amazing. Really, really good. Really neat, nice colors. They don't have like a set color palette throughout. They just kind of play around with it and do what needs to be done. And it shifts from night to day and from inside buildings to outside. It doesn't feel like they're using the palette to do anything other than tell a great story. And that's cool. I really, really like they do that. But now we're going to discuss form. Now I've got all the basic stuff out of the way about the things I really like about it. The thing that I love about it is the form of it. Anytime you see a 9-panel grid, it makes you pay attention. Some people just do it for the sake of it because it's like, it's a comic book thing and it works fine. But some people do it really, really well. Tom King's Mr. Miracle is one of the most effective examples of this in recent years. This one plays around with it a little bit more. One thing I like about a good 9-panel grid is you can basically section off bits and pieces of it to do larger panels and larger story bits. I think These Savage Shores is probably the best version of that recently. This one does that very effectively, and then it does something which it kind of got under my skin a little bit in a way I really liked. It reminded me what it was like to, big surprise for everyone here, when I was learning poetry. And form is very, very important for a lot of poetry. Free verse is all well and good, but when you're putting certain things together, they have to work in certain ways to be considered a type of poetry. And you can play around with this. The Sonnet is one of my favorite examples of this. One of my favorite sonnets actually does play with form a little bit, but it's still recognizable. And I think there's moments where it drifts away for a beat or two or changes a scheme to actually tell you part of the story. And this one does this very well, because there you have the 3 panels at the top there, yep. But then it goes to 4 panels, and it's like, okay, well, what's doing that one then? Then it goes back to 3, but there's something missing there from a uniformity. Something is broken, that scene there, which happens in between these panels. That's why the extra panel is there, and it accentuates what the story is trying to do without actually having to tell you everything. The 9-panel grid actually does a very good job of timing. And when it messes with stuff like that, it shows you exactly how much time is happening between panels in a really, really effective way. From start to finish, I found myself intrigued by this comic book. Found myself wanting to dig beneath what's going on. There are occasional moments of levity, there are occasional moments of action. For the most part, though, it is a mystery. It's a missing persons story, which means you need to keep going back to find out what's happening. And I'm sure at some point I'll be reading issue 3, go back to issue 1 and realise I totally missed an obvious clue that was there because I didn't know I was looking for the clue. It's written and drawn by the same person, Tyler Boss, and they've done an excellent, masterful job with this one. Because it's only 4 issues, I like the sense that it's going to have a sense of conclusion fairly quickly, and I cannot wait to see what happens. Thoroughly enjoyable. That's it for me. Take it easy, stay safe, bye.